Oh god, I feel like I'm gonna make a lot of people upset with this one. Hey everyone, and welcome to the first video review for Salt of the Anchor. Salt of the Anchor is my senior project, and I am Spencer Wilkins. Chase Lewis, I hear you. We're gonna review Culture by the Migos. The Migos are an Atlanta-based trio. They make hard trap music. Alright, this group stayed mainly in the Atlanta eye. They didn't really break into the mainstream until their 2013 hit Versace. Kind of a typical trap rhythm song, nothing too complex, but it did earn the Drake cosign, which is always very special because that can end up very well for you, like The Weeknd. It can put a nice spotlight and make your career very fruitful. Or you could end up kind of like I Love McConan. The group did end up moving past the Drake feature and kind of carving out their own lane, which was the Migos flow. It's the triplet flow in the rhyme scheme. So most rap falls on the rhythm, so it goes da 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 da. What the Migos did, which is so exciting and they still do today, is they utilize the triplet flow. Da 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 da. Now the central question I was asked when Chase Lewis asked me to review this is mumble rap or bars? That question is valid because Migos has come up with this new Atlanta wave with guys like 21 Savage, guys like Lil Yachty, guys like Uzi Vert, even though he's from Philly, all have this kind of mumble rap sound, slurring your words, not enunciating properly, and just kind of dripping all over a beat, not exactly staying on the traditional rap rubric of storytelling. I understand the complaints with mumble raps. I get where people are coming from, where they say, oh, rap's about storytelling, it's supposed to be personal, it's supposed to be about your words, it's a matter of poetry. But for me, what it comes down to is people are listening to music. They're not reading a short story, they're not reading a book, they're not reading poetry. They're listening to music, and at the end of the day, what music is about is what is the most sonically pleasing to listen to. Now, when it comes down to what's the most sonically pleasing, you have to think about, what do I enjoy? What makes this listening experience the best? For some people, lyrics are really important. They listen to a story for the storytelling. But for me, when I listen to music, I want to get the most auditory pleasure that I can get. So for me, it's not necessary for a person to use their voice as an instrument of storytelling if they're just using their voice as an interesting instrument within the song. If they want to use it to just kind of drone on top of the beat, use it as its own instrument, I'm completely fine with that. So for me, mumble rap has never been a problem. But I think that debate of mumble rap or bars is not really applicable when it comes to the Migos, because the Migos don't mumble. You can tell even in their lead single, Bad and Bougie, that the group takes a lot of pride in maybe not the lyrics that they're saying, but at least in the way that they deliver them. Genius actually did a really great breakdown of the rhyme scheme. Here's a clip of it. I'm young and rich and plus I'm bougie. I'm not stupid, so I keep the Uzi. Records on records, got backers on backers, so my money making my back. Ay. You niggas got a low act. Rackets on rackets, got backets on backets, so my money making my back ache. Just love that. Now, of course, Bad and Bougie was the lead single. Great song, still love it today. Metro Boomin did a great job with the beat. At first I thought it was a bit underwhelming, but it really came around to me to be very hypnotic, very infectious. When we look into the album track listing, it starts off with Culture, which is the opening track, which features this very typical DJ Khaled diatribe where he just kind of screams every 9 bars to let you know that he's still here. It's kind of an underwhelming opener to the album. Now we get into the second song of the album, T-Shirt, which I think is great, probably the best song on the album. It has this really minimal beat when you think about it. It just has this very eerie lead that kind of goes on top. There's not a lot of notes in the song. It has this 808 that's paired with this really heavy kick that thumps in every couple of beats. And it's just very moody, very dark and menacing. The song T-Shirt really does a great job of showcasing the Migos in what they do best, which is trading off flows, using their distinct voices in very interesting ways, and kind of rapping from one collective brain. When you look at another rap group kind of like Ray Shrimmer, you know, people always say, oh, when's Sway Lee gonna go solo? I never get the feeling that, oh, it's a matter of time before one of the three Migos goes solo, because they're also on the same page. The next song we have is Call Casting, which is just a classic piano trap anthem. I really have to commend Takeoff for doing a fantastic job handling the hook. When he comes over the hook, he just has this very gravelly, grimy voice that he always uses, and it just matches the flow of the song so well. And one thing that you have to notice about the Migos, a lot of acts are doing this now in rap, but I think Migos has one of the best ad-libs. Cookie, trap, cook. The next three songs we get are more typical Migos, just doing what they do best. We have Get Right With Ya, we have Slippery, and Big on Big. And even though nothing truly groundbreaking is happening, it's still entertaining throughout. I think my favorite of the three has to be Slippery. I love the weird kind of slow-moving lead that moves on top of the song, the doo-doo-doo-doo. It moves so perfectly against the dark 808 kick that runs throughout the song. It reminds me a lot of T-Shirt, except a little bit more eerie, a little bit more slow-moving. The beat is actually so good that even Gucci Mane, who appears on the song, sounding just as congested as ever, sounds really good because the beat is just so good. I can excuse the typical Gucci nonsense that he's going on about. Now, despite the topics of this album being nothing groundbreaking, and despite the beats being very atypical of a trap album, I still think the first half of this album is fantastic. Unfortunately, the album kind of hits a lull when we get to tracks 8 and 9, which is What the Price and Brown Paper Bag. On these two songs, we kind of take a pullback from the very energetic, the very hyper songs that we've been seeing from the first half of the album. A slower BPM, spacier drum patterns, and just giving them more air and a little bit more of a somber tone in the music. I have no problem with people making slow songs or meaningful songs, but the trouble for me is when we get to this part, Migos doesn't really change their song topics, talking about moving drugs mostly, women, and luxury, and the message just comes across a little bit disjointed, and the music lags on for a little bit too much. I feel like if they wanted to make these kind of slower songs, I'm completely fine with that, but they should have really committed and maybe ventured into some unfamiliar topics. The two songs are not a complete wash though, because on Brown Paper Bag we see that Quavo still loves his Motorola.
I love my Motorola. I love my Motorola. I love my Motorola. I love my Motorola.
The lull does not continue on this album because on track 10 we have Deads. Now I love the beat on this song. It was produced by Cardo, who did Goosebumps for Travis Scott, 100 for The Game, and of course Levitate for Kendrick Lamar. He works in this kind of woozy, heady, habitually inebriated, slow-moving banger theme. I love the horns on this song. They're just so epic and they just hang in the background of the song so well. And it's cradled by this very sticky hook that just kind of gets in your head.
Fresh out the bed, ooh, get out the dead, ooh, fresh out the bed, ooh, get out the dead.
It's very simple, but it gets stuck in your head very easily. I think they did a great job with that chorus. I would like the song so much more if it weren't for the second verse on this song, where 2 Chainz just has to make an appearance and is just as corny as ever. Might buy a bowling alley, I got my money out of the gutter. It ruined what could have been a really great song. Now on this next track, we actually have a surprise, Migos puts down their usual money cash hoes anthems. They really sit down with themselves and take themselves seriously, it's a surprising change of pace, and they really dig deep and look for a song topic where they can speak to their audience in a serious way. On the next track, All Ass. This is just a very typical Migos strip club song. When your chorus is literally just all ass, all ass, there's not a ton you can take seriously about the song. Then here we get to the song Kelly Price. My first few listens through the album, and until I listened to it again for this review that I was going to do, I didn't really like Kelly Price as a track. It just felt too unnecessarily long for a beat that was this skeletal. But now going through the track listing, I am such a fan of Kelly Price. It brings a lot more energy into the back half of this track listing, and I think it does a great job of using Quavo, using Offset, using Takeoff, and using Travis Scott, who's featured on this song, very well. And Travis Scott doesn't have a mind-blowing verse, he just kind of does his Travis Scott thing, but I do have to commend one lyric that always makes me laugh. He says, "Woke up, cocaine all in my hair, thought it was lice." There's not a lot to this Kelly Price beat. There's this whirring lead that goes against these arpeggiated hollow keys, and intermittently to mix with this kind of creepy vibe, we even have this vocal sample that's thrown in. It kind of sounds like the airheaded blonde who turns around and gets hacked in a low-budget thriller. It's just very kind of cheesy horror movie quality, but in a way that sounds cool, which I didn't even know you could do. This album ends on a lighter note, which is the song Out Ya Way. This song is not my favorite. It's not the Migos' best song because they deviate from the very typical sound. This is very much a pop crossover song. This is not to say that I think, I could see Sam Smith over this song or anything, but it's a lot sweeter. The piano chords are very major, they're very peppy and happy, everything's a little bit brighter in the soundtrack. So when you get to this point, it's just a little bit jarring as the closer to the album. What I think it shows though is, even though I didn't enjoy Migos on this track, they are capable of taking their style and the way that they flow on top of a song to a more mainstream sound. This album, Culture, went platinum in just under 8 weeks, and it's clear that they're being incorporated into the mainstream. They've been featured on songs with Halsey, they were featured on a Katy Perry track, and they were even recruited by Liam from One Direction. Yeah, it's about as pop as you can get. Now, I like this album. I really do. I like it. I put it on when I need some hyper music to put on, when I need to get excited about something. It doesn't go down for me like a rodeo. It's not Dirty Sprite 2. It's not going to be a classic trap anthem. But it's not bad. It's better than good. I'm feeling like this album is a very solid B. I think that this group has a lot of room for growth, and I think right now I have no problem with them being near the top of the rap charts. Cool.